I'll talk about it. Why do you think the 49ers won't trade Mac Jones this offseason?
He's too much of an asset. He's an anchor when things get unstable in their quarterback room and on their team. Quite frankly, we already talked about he's well liked. It literally walked into the reason why we just talked about Ricky Pearsall on why Mac Jones is well liked, because he can play through injuries and still perform at a high level. You're also going to need to be able to wait for the panic moment of the season of next year, which we already know is going to happen. The panic window of figuring out what teams truly need a quarterback and being able to strike while the iron is hot and get more picks to have more bodies on the team. I just don't think moving on from Mac Jones this early is really going to do much for you. I believe that we should hold on to him. And then also, we don't understand what's going on with Brock Purdy. Now, the question is, ask yourself as a fan, as an observer of the Niners, did Brock Purdy's 8-game performance make you feel as though there are no questions about him being our franchise quarterback? Right? Now, if you can answer that question good and say, okay, then this conversation about Mac Jones really doesn't matter because we have our guy. If you're still iffy on whether or not Brock is our guy at $52 million a year, then hell no, we don't want to let go of Mac Jones, right? And you may see that there may be shades of how the organization may be leaning towards that as well by holding on to him. Also, the relationship between Kyle and Mac Jones is something that I think really helps him. So, yeah, I think they're going to hold on to him. He's an asset. The Niners are not hasty. They're going to hold on to him.
I keep going back and forth on this one. I would want to hold on to him, but I just don't know where Kyle's coming from. Is he planning for the future or not? He doesn't have an extension. He's got 2 years left on his deal. Every time he's gotten to this point, he's had an extension already. So he might be wondering, what's the point? I mean, they're rebuilding the defense. They're trying to make the defense young, but maybe they're just trying to make the defense cheap because they've spent so much on his offense. He's not really making any effort to build a new offense. I put $50 down that they're bringing back Deebo Samuel. We'll see if they do. I don't know. I feel like keeping Mac Jones would be keeping options open for the future. If Brock doesn't work out, we can pivot to Mac. But then I kind of feel like if Brock doesn't work out, Kyle's cooked. I almost feel like Kyle and John have said this on the record last year when they were talking about extending Brock Purdy. They sort of said like, well, Brock's going to be the last quarterback we have. Both of them said that. Each of them said that. Maybe they were told that. Like, this is it, man. You got it wrong with Jimmy. You got it wrong with Trey. You lucked out with Brock. You're not getting another chance. So make it work. I could see them trading Mac for something now that they can use now to keep themselves employed, and then signing someone like Kirk Cousins to be the, safety blanket in case Brock gets hurt.
That's the other side of it. I was going to say that, it's not necessarily Mac Jones, the player, but it's what Mac Jones represents, which is a backup plan, something to fall onto, and that kind of soothes some of the
and not just for now, but for the future.
Yeah, some food soothes.
Kirk doesn't give you that.
Yeah. So I do believe that Mac Jones, I think they're going to hold on to him, Grant. Moving on from him right now I think moving on from Mac Jones early would put a lot of faith and say a lot about how they feel about Brock. Because 9 times out of 10, whatever you're pushing to get from Mac Jones, it's to help Brock. It's going to be on the offensive side of the ball. We've done a lot on defense, so I think it's their turn to start bringing some guys back. So, yeah, I think we still keep him. What did Mac play? Like 7 games? Those 7 games, the way the offense was so free flowing, Mac was averaging like 45 attempts for like 3 games straight, bro. Mac Jones is a weapon. They'd be foolish to just give him up for nothing. So I think they're going to hold on to him.
I want to bring up a point.
We've got a great quarterback room.
Yeah, I want to say this. So we just assume that the Yorks are like all in with Brock Purdy, that he's their guy. I wonder, they like him for now, but they structured the contract in a certain way that they could get out of it. It's backloaded, and there are no guarantees after 2027. And the thing about the way they structured his contract is that on April 1st, 2027, his 2028 money will be fully guaranteed. His salary in 2028 will be fully guaranteed, and that's $55 million. So the
Mm.
Yorks and Parag have to decide if they want to spend that much money. They haven't crossed that bridge yet. But in about a year, they'll have to decide whether they want to spend $55 million on Brock Purdy in 2028. So if he has another year this year, like last year, where he's in and out or he misses 8 games, maybe the Yorks say, you know what? This is not a good investment. We're not spending $55 million a year on the little quarterback who gets hurt a lot. Sorry, we're going to cut him or trade him and pivot to Mac Jones.
Yeah, that's exactly why. I mean, that's
This
another
is a
option.
big year for Brock. This is a big year
That's
for
why.
Brock.
Yeah, that's why I'm holding on to Mac Jones because this is why we loved the deal, right?
Yep.
Remember all of the build up on Brock's deal? Were we going to get fleeced? Dude, it came out the perfect win-win. Also, another thing about Brock's deal is that he knows that they owe him the money up front, but look, we don't owe you a legacy of trying to figure out if you're our guy or not. Brock has been paid handsomely, but the deal is it's really essentially a 3-year deal because there's no way that they're paying him $57 million in 2028. It ain't happening, right? So his cap number next year is 24.3. He'll bump up to 30.8 in 27. And if they've also got to make a decision on Mac because Mac's deal will be up within that time as well.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like this year is so big. Yes, I mean, if he's on the roster April 1st, 2027, they have to pay him $55 million in 2028. So they have to make a decision. Are they cool doing that? The Niners have been a little reticent to give out that kind of cash. They often find ways to get out of it at the very last minute. So it's something they structured the contract this way for a reason. He hasn't been that great the last couple of years. There's been excuses, but if he can't stay healthy, if he can't even put up Sam Darnold numbers or take the team as far as Sam Darnold's taken Seattle, they might say, you know what, maybe we should stop paying so much for a quarterback and build this team a different way.
You know what's crazy, Grant? All of Brock Purdy's backups have been starting caliber quarterbacks. It's just funny how he's the guy, but all of his backups
until 2024 when they won 6 games.
Yeah. Yes. Only time, like even if they move on from Mac, they're gonna bring in Kirk. It's like they don't want a true backup. They want somebody with starting caliber experience that can come in and pick up the team where they left off.
What does that say about Brock?
Almost like they expect it.
What does that say about Brock?
And
Like
that's why I'm bringing this up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like we said, so it's really not about Mac Jones, it's what he represents. And what he represents is that the Niners will always have a de facto quarterback behind Brock Purdy that they know and are willing to play. Even when Sam Darnold was here, I remember you were saying it's like, yo, Kyle's itching to play Sam Darnold. He's itching to play him. So I don't know, man.
Well, I think that we're going to talk about Kyle in a minute and what his motivations are this offseason, but I feel like his stock was really low after 2024. The 6-win season with Brock Purdy playing most of the time. I think a lot of people thought that Brock sort of saved Kyle's job. That was the narrative, right? Brock saved Kyle's job. And then when Brock went down week 1, I saw people nationally, like Brett Coleman, who has that huge YouTube channel, was like, oh, we're about to see what Brock's been covering up for the last few years. And it's like, that's not what happened at all. And I think Kyle Shanahan was able to be like, look, rest of the league, I actually, I'm actually good. And maybe Brock's more a product of what I do than I'm a product to him. I mean, I've proven myself without Brock Purdy. What has Brock ever done without me? So I think, his stock went up big time this year, largely because of Mac Jones.
Largely because of Mac Jones.
Largely because of Mac Jones.
And Robert Saleh.
And Brant Boyer. And Eddie freaking Pinero. That guy did not get enough credit.
He does not.
He better be on the team this year.
You know why? Because Eddie Pinero covers the dead body of a decision in drafting Jake Moody in the 3rd round. That's what Eddie Pinero does. He's the Brock Purdy of kickers. Yes, he is.
They're so lucky for him. God. Caleb Williams says, how would you feel if we traded for A.J. Brown and have Debo?
Oh. We'd have a fire reality TV show.
That would work better. They would at least fit together, and of course, it would give Kyle an offense that's like everyone's over 30 except for the quarterback, which is probably his dream. So I actually could see that happening. And I know the Eagles want to get cheaper at wide receiver. Maybe they would trade AJ Brown for Ricky Pearsall in a pick. I don't know what they think of Ricky Pearsall, but that would work. I love AJ Brown. I think he's a great player. I don't want Debo back, but
I don't think AJ Brown
it seems
will work here.
expensive.
Yeah,
It seems expensive.
it seems expensive. It is expensive.
It is expensive. Good question. Choopy Wowie says Lombardi dudes always throwing shade at Cohn. Well, I'm throwing it right back.